We are live. Welcome, everyone. What's up, my friends? Welcome to another Write With Me live stream. I'm so glad you are here today with me to work on some creative projects together. This is going to be super fun, and I'm really glad that I have started to host these live streams more often on my channel because I know a lot of you guys really enjoy them, and I feel like we don't get the opportunity to do this enough. So yes, I'm very excited that you are here today. Type in the chat, tell me if you can see me and hear me okay. And if this is your first time at one of these Write With Me live streams, welcome. I'm so glad you could finally make it live. The way these live streams are structured is we do writing sprints together, 25 minutes on with 5-minute breaks in between to chat about our stories. So usually how that goes is I set a timer and an alarm for 25 minutes. We all write together and then we take a short break, chat about our books, etc. And we're going to do that for 3 sprints total. So if that sounds like something you're into, then stick around because that's what we're going to do in this live stream. So type in the chat, tell me where you're tuning in from, and also tell me what you are working on today. I love to hear about everybody's current works in progress because we are all working on different projects. Maybe some of us are writing first drafts, some of us might be editing or revising or even getting closer to the publishing stage, or maybe you're just using this live stream to study and have some companionship while you do that. These live streams are for anybody who is working on anything remotely creative. So I hope that it gives you a good sense of accountability and community as we go through this process. Sam I Am gave a super chat. Thank you so much. Great surprise podcast on Kate's channel yesterday. Everyone should watch it. I'm really bad at having my protagonist sound exactly like me. Yes, there is a new podcast up. I haven't got the chance to post about it yet, but there's a new podcast up on Kate's channel where we are discussing character voice. So I will actually share the link for you guys in the chat right now because I meant to do that earlier and time got away from me this morning. But you guys need to go check out this podcast after this live stream because it's a really good one. I think you'll like it, especially if you struggle at all with writing character voice or all your characters kind of sounding like you. This podcast will help you to kind of identify what are those specific things that make your characters sound different from you and how to practice those things more often in your writing. So definitely check that out. But I see some writers tuning in from all over the world. Awesome. Let's see. Norway. I saw Sweden, Mexico, upstate New York. So cool. Someone asked, when will the Enneagram series be finished? The next Enneagram video, I'm actually filming that today. So stay tuned for that because I have more Enneagram content coming at you guys soon. But those videos are very involved. Each one is like a mini masterclass. So it takes me a while to edit them and research them. So stay tuned for that. But the Enneagram 5 is coming soon. Awesome. So welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you guys are all here. And I'm really excited to get back into my chapter. I've been writing this morning. I woke up early and I dove straight into my manuscript. I'm working on the ending climax of my 3-book series. That's a historical mystery / heist series. And I have like 5 chapters left to write, which is crazy. I've been with these characters for so long. Multiple years I've been writing this series. So yeah, it feels very surreal to be like coming up on the end of it. But that's what I'm going to be working on today. And I am really excited to dive back into that. So the first task I actually have is to write a poem that kind of inserts into the chapter, which is always harder for me to write poems. Like I'm always way slower when I'm trying to rhyme verse instead of writing prose. So we'll see how it goes, but let's get into our first sprint. So I'm going to set up the timer for 25 minutes and set this during at 25 minutes. Feel free to set your own timers or just follow mine. I'm also going to go into the Discord and start a sprint there. So if any of you are in the Discord, feel free to hop on the sprint over there as well. if you're not in the Discord and you love this community aspect of writing together, then you would definitely love the Discord, which you can join at on my Patreon when you join at any level. And the link to that is below this live stream. So I'm going to join that with 360 words. Okay, guys, grab your work in progress and a cup of tea or coffee. And let's get into this first sprint. Okay, I'm going to set the timer. All right, good luck, guys. Okay, sprint number 1 is done. Tell me how it went in the chat. Hopefully that was a good, productive first sprint for you guys. I am trying to still write this poem, which is slow going because it just takes me a lot longer to write poetry than to write prose. But every word counts. So log your words in Discord or here on the chat if you desire, if you want to share. We're going to take a quick break here and get into our next sprint in a minute. Let's see. Okay, so trying to get my head out of the book. Let's see. Some of you guys are editing, some are writing first drafts. Awesome. You guys are doing amazing. Great job. Okay. Tom asked, question for you. Any advice on writing comedy for an entire book? I'm feeling solid so far, 40 pages, but not sure if I can keep it up for a whole book. That's a great question and great timing because I just released a live training last week about writing comedy. So if you missed that, definitely check it out. It's in the link is in my last video. So if you go to my channel, last video I posted is all about writing funny dialogue, which is a great way to incorporate comedy throughout your book. But I would definitely recommend watching that live training because I go deeper into all the different aspects of writing comedy and infusing the actual setups and the character clashes with humor so that you're basically, the comedy is like writing itself. That's basically what you want with writing comedy. And that all comes from creating characters that have this beautiful dynamic where they really clash with each other in a funny, lighthearted way. So more on that in that live training. I highly recommend watching the replay of that, which is available now. So definitely check that out. Let's see. Theodora asked, how do I write an immersive setting without taking away from the scene? I really want to transport my readers into the forest setting, but so much is happening at the same time. Great question. And I actually have a video coming up next week that's going to be all about writing immersive descriptions, basically how to fix boring descriptions. And it's like a transformative video where we see like the bad example at the beginning and you kind of watch over my shoulder as I edit it and make it better, make it more immersive. But one of the tools or one of the techniques that I share in that video, that I'm going to share in that video, is the 3S rule. So basically that's sight, sound, and smell. If you can give me one sight, one sound, one smell really quickly, that immediately grounds me in a scene. When I'm reading a scene and I want some immersive description that will ground me in the scene, it's not just what it looks like, because sometimes what it looks like can be very flat and two-dimensional and it doesn't really make you feel like you're there. But if you can hear it and smell it and see it, then you have a full immersive experience without taking a super long time to describe everything. So I would say challenge yourself to do that. Just try it as an exercise. Like, what if you did one sight, one sound, one smell? What happens? So I would start there, but definitely keep an eye out for that video. It's coming soon. Sam I Am gave a super chat. Thank you so much. You said, I am a dude and my protagonist's female love interest is so flat. How can I write a better romance with the vibe still being an action thriller novel? Mine always feel soulless. Well, that's a really good question. And I think that it's really awesome that you're like seeing this from a new perspective and trying to come up with a way to make your character feel more realistic and dynamic. I would say start with my video about writing strong female characters, or the video that I posted recently on like, I posted a few months ago, like the mistakes writers make when writing women. That would be probably a good place to start. But I would say as far as making her more dynamic and not flat, if writing a better romance with it still being an action thriller novel, you can absolutely infuse a dynamic and lovable romantic relationship into an action thriller novel. It all comes from really developing the character's internal conflict. And I know I sound like a broken record because I always say that, but it's true. It works for a reason. I say it because it works. If you really get down to the heart and soul of that character, What is it she wants more than anything? What is the goal that she's actively pursuing? What is she afraid of? What are some of the things that happened in the past that have affected her worldview? And I would say just like spend some time imagining what the world is like from her perspective, and maybe even writing like a little journal entry or something from her point of view, first person, even if it's not going to be inserted in the book, just to kind of get you in that headspace of who this character is. But regardless of gender, like any character is going to, the heart and soul of them is going to be in the internal conflict. And that's what makes them feel not flat, makes them feel dynamic and relatable. That's what we can relate to, is the fears and flaws, right? Let's see, one more question before we dive in here. Georgie asked, how do I fall in love with writing again after a year of not writing? Really good question. My advice would be to write something that feels totally self-indulgent and requires no real outcome. Okay, because getting back into writing in a way that makes you just fall in love with it and you're just doing it for the fun of it, it's like you have to put yourself in the perspective of, if nobody ever read this, would I still write it? What would you write if you didn't have to write it perfectly? That's another question that you can ask yourself, and something that I think, when I think about that question, it like immediately emboldens me to write things that I would maybe be a little bit intimidated to write, because maybe I feel like I don't know enough about that subject, or I don't have enough experience in that. Like, if you had no fears, if you did not have to write this perfectly at all, and if you didn't have to share it with anybody, what would you write? And go write that thing. Let's see. Another super chat came in. Thank you so much. From Blackfire Song. Hi, Abbie. I love your content. I struggle to know whether my characters are having the right reaction to an incident for their background, personality, etc. How do I stop second guessing my choices? Really good question. I think this kind of comes with time and getting to know your characters really well. But I would say if you're struggling with this particular thing, then maybe go back to your character profiles, or just, even if you didn't do character profiles, just write up like a little cheat sheet for yourself of how your characters react to certain things. Like, what is their defense mechanism? What is their coping mechanism? How do they deal with stress? How do they deal with things going sideways? How do they deal with awkwardness and social interactions? And like taking each character at a time and kind of like pulling them aside in your mind and going through this list of like, okay, this is how they deal with awkward situations. This is how they deal with stress. This is how they deal with a threat, will help you to be able to get to know them better and then write their reactions in real time more accurately based on their personality. And you can also find some good ideas for this, like in the Enneagram. If you've been following my Enneagram series at all, then you know how much I love that. And it helps to sort of see how different people and different personalities react to things. Another super chat from Rishara, if I'm saying your name right. Hi, Abbie. Longtime watcher here. Finally got to catch you live. Going to use this to outline along. Keeping awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, break's over. We've been talking too long. Let's get back into the next sprint. I'm going to go ahead and set my timer again and set another sprint in the Discord. If you want to join over there, feel free to do so. Okay, let's do sprint number 2. right, great job, guys. Sprint number 2 is done. Type in the chat, tell me how it went. Hopefully that was a productive sprint for you guys. Finally finished the poem, so it should be a little bit faster going now. Now that I can get back into writing this scene. Okay, so type in the chat, tell me how that sprint went, or log your words on Discord if you're over there. And we're going to take another little short break and get back into sprint number 3. Okay. Awesome. Looks like you guys are making fantastic progress. So cool. So great to see that. And even if you're not even feel like you haven't made much progress, or you want to be writing quicker and you feel like you're not writing quickly enough, don't worry about it. Just showing up for yourself is the most important thing. Sam I Am gave another super chat. Thank you so much. By the way, really looking forward to your nonfiction book someday. Really excited to hear your progress and success with it. Thank you so much. I am really excited for the nonfiction book. It's going to be amazing, and I'm just really excited to share it with you guys. It's been a long time coming. Let's see. Jasmine asked, any advice for writing a negative character arc? Yes. I have 2 videos about writing negative character arcs that I highly recommend checking out. And I actually can send you the link for the first one. But the first one is kind of breaking down the negative character arc, and then the second one is story examples of the negative character arc. So there's like different types of negative character arcs that you can use. So there's the link to that video to check out. But I would follow the structure that I provide in that video. It's just kind of a good jumping off point to look at like how your character's negative arc falls. And basically what you're doing is you're kind of taking a positive character arc and just flipping it upside down. So instead of the character having an aha moment, they have like this final acceptance of lie moment, which leads them to their tragic end, either like literally their tragic end or just their like point of no return. So definitely check out that video. And I also have that part 2, which is like 2 story examples, like case studying 2 different characters from different stories to like see how that looks like, what that looks like in action. Let's see. Hannah asks, how do I write a romance storyline without being too predictable and boring my readers? Good question. I think, a lot of romance storylines can follow the same like predictable structure, I suppose. But what makes them interesting to me is having characters that are dynamic and dealing with unique internal conflicts. So there are some things that in a romance it goes without saying, like, we know that the characters are going to end up together. Okay. We know that they're going to, if it's like an enemies to lovers romance, we know they're going to start out enemies and then slowly become friends and then become something more. And then maybe there'll be like a 3rd act breakup or something. So we can kind of predict some things, but the things that we can't predict is really how your characters are going to deal with their unique internal conflict. So I would focus most of your efforts on like making their conflict unique and believable and relatable, and then don't worry too much about the actual like structure of it being predictable, because there are some ways in which we want it to be somewhat predictable as far as your readers will have certain expectations going into a romance that it's totally okay to have those expectations. It doesn't make it boring. I definitely experienced that a lot as a romance reader, and I actually like being able to predict some of it, but not all of it. Okay. Alan asked, how do I stitch scenes together? I've heard that chapters for certain genres should have 2 to 3 scenes per chapter, but does this mean I have to use scene breaks each time? You can really like go wild and make this whatever you want. Like I've seen it done so many ways that really it's totally up to you. You could do 1 scene per chapter or 2 to 3 scenes per chapter. You could do time breaks, or you can just do more chapter breaks. I find that for me, when I'm reading a book, if the chapters are really short, I read more of them and I read it for longer. And I think the psychology of that is kind of like you're tricking your reader into reading more, not tricking them, but you know what I mean? Like they want to read more because there's more perceived progress and a short commitment to read the next chapter. So for that reason, I do recommend writing shorter chapters and just making more breaks where it's like, it's easy to keep going. Alyssa asks if my protagonist hardly talks, how can I make her compelling? Good question. I would say, let us get inside her head. Let us see what's going on inside her head, even if she doesn't talk a lot. That is something that I notice a lot in films, especially because oftentimes if you don't have narration and if the character is really introverted and doesn't say a lot, then you have a really hard time getting to know them. And that's one advantage that you have in writing is that you have the unique advantage of being in the perspective of your character, so you get to see what they're thinking about. So even if this character doesn't say a lot verbally, they can think a lot. Oftentimes, quiet people have the loudest minds, right? So how can you show us what she's dealing with internally in her mind and what she's maybe not saying or wishing she could say, that shows us what she's dealing with internally? That would be what I would focus on in that case. Okay, one last question. Alex Steino asks, how do I make dialogue realistic? That's a very popular question, one I get asked a lot. And I've made multiple videos about this. So I'm going to, again, point you to a video on my channel that is about how to fix dialogue. I can't remember what it's called. Dialogue mistakes. Yes, dialogue mistakes that new writers make. That video has a lot of views on it for a reason, because it is a very good, like solid breakdown of good dialogue versus bad dialogue. So definitely check that one out. That one is like the 7 mistakes or something, or maybe there's not even a number. I don't know. It's like mistakes writers make when writing dialogue. That one's really good, and I would highly recommend watching that one. Okay, so let's get into our third and final sprint. Set your timers. Great job, everyone. Okay. All right. So feel free to join over the Discord or just stay here and let's finish strong together. Okay, final sprint. Great job, guys. Hopefully that final sprint went well. Just trying to fix a formatting issue here. So type in the chat, tell me how it went, and tell me how the whole session went. Hopefully you got a lot of good words down, or maybe you're editing. Hopefully you got a lot of editing done if you're working on the second, third, fourth draft of your book. It was a good session for me, all in all. I didn't write a ton of words, but I was able to get past the most difficult part of that scene and get into the good stuff, which I'm very excited to finish this scene. It's kind of like the big final showdown that everything's been leading up to for 3 books. So yeah, a lot of ground to cover, a lot to consider with this final scene. So I'm just going to take my time with it and have fun with it. Looks like you guys had an amazing session. Awesome. Thank you again to Sam I Am for the super chat. Have a great week, everyone. Can't believe it's August already. I know, it's crazy. Crazy how fast the summer is going away. But I'm glad that we got the chance to come together on this live stream and make progress on our creative projects. It is so important. And even if you feel like you didn't make a ton of progress, just showing up for yourself and dedicating this time to your creativity is progress. It is all progress in the right direction. So I'm proud of you for showing up for yourself. And if you enjoy this community aspect of like chatting with other writers and doing writing sprints, you would love the Discord. If you're not in there already, definitely check it out. You can get in the Discord by joining my Patreon at any level, and the link to that is below this video. So if you want to check that out, feel free to do so. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next live stream. I'm going to be hosting these twice a month from now on. And in November, we're going to do a lot of live streams. There's going to be some fun challenges coming up for November. So stay tuned, more on that soon. But I'm really excited to write more with you guys and to give you guys some more video content. I'm working on the next Enneagram video. I'm about to go film that next. So I hope to have that one out for you guys super soon. But until the next time, guys, have a wonderful time writing and showing up for your creativity. I am so proud of you, and you should be so proud of yourselves as well. Make sure you subscribe and stick around for the next live stream and my upcoming videos. I can't wait to see you there. So have a wonderful rest of your day, my friend. And as always, rock on.